Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central. It's Wednesday, it's midweek, and the countdown is on towards the end of 2025. My name is Joe Hansen, and I'm proud and happy to be here because, like they say, it's good to be alive, and we are indeed happy to be here. Once again, welcome.
Joe, do not be proud to be here because pride goes before you fall.
No. There's good pride and there's bad pride.
There's good pride.
There's good pride. Like seeing you guys, I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you so much.
I'm proud of your hair, proud of your looks.
It's been a long year.
You
made it to the end. Yeah.
Let my hair rest.
No, I'm proud of you.
We started from January and now we're here.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central. This is where we bring you all the news, insights, and breakdown of the biggest stories happening across the country with the subject matter experts, those who understand the news and can break it down for you in bite sizes so you can understand, yes. And we also give you a potpourri of humor, you know, here and there, of banter, of very serious analysis. So you've made one good decision this morning by joining us. I am Benga Aboroa.
And I am the lady who's blessed to be co-hosting the biggest morning show on the continent. With these two gentlemen, these two dapper gentlemen, every morning we come together to bring you the biggest stories around the country.
That's massive.
That's massive. I wanted to add the word after it. I don't remember that on national television, like, and it's too early in the day to be doing some shenanigans. But we thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you're getting excited. It's the eve of Christmas. But before we get into all the behind the scenes of the eve of Christmas, my name is Olive Emodi, and it's an honor to serve you here today on Breakfast Central. So yes.
It's great to have you, Olive. And oftentimes, maybe one of these days, just before we wrap up the year, it would be nice for the viewers
to get our behind the scenes.
No, to see the people behind the scenes.
Yeah, we're planning that. I think,
you know, shout out to my man, Kunle.
Kunle has been smiling since we started.
Even though he's always
show.
Getting on my nerves once in a while. Shout out to Lady Lakumi. She's such an excellent woman. Shout out to Amazing, you know, shout out to Benny. So they can, you know, get their 5 minutes of fame in life.
It's very important.
What about Benny?
No, he mentioned Benny. How can
Benny takes care of us?
Benny does take care of us. Honestly, we just want to say thank you to our incredible team.
Like I said,
we're able to do what we do because we have a united team behind the scenes that make us look good
Manchester
on camera. Our directors, then we have our
fantastic human beings. You know, I mean, we don't even take this this privilege that we have of being celebrities and being on TV every day. You know, some people live for that moment, for them to be on TV. So I know that day that Kunle is going to appear. We have to do countdown. It has to be 30 seconds. We can't do more than that because he will be proud. All his village will be watching on that day.
Well, yes, we thank you so much. And we hope that this is an opportunity for employers of labor to appreciate their employees. There's something that it does to you when someone says thank you for a job well done, the way it boosts more.
True.
Someone said that to me yesterday, and I must give a very special shout out to my pastor. My pastor had said to me, you did well this year in terms of your growth, and I'm proud of you. And I didn't know how much I needed to hear that, you know. I didn't know how it made me feel so good because we're the worst critics of ourselves.
True.
If you're someone who likes excellent work, we're the worst critics of ourselves. We're hearing people who we look up to and we respect say, well done, you've done a great job. I think that has a way of livening your spirit. So we're waiting for our MD to tell us we're done.
No, and we know we've done
always tells us all the time, but it will be nice for him to say it again. And even nice if we receive prayers in our emails.
Okay, just like the National Assembly. And Joe, since we're in the period and in the mood of, you know, giving condos and accolades, I guess this is my time to give myself an accolade. You know, I always say this, that no, I don't take this opportunity for granted. It's a privilege to be able to talk to millions of Nigerians every day. And one of my greatest regrets in life, Oliver has heard this story so many times, is that I cannot enjoy the pleasure
of watching yourself.
Yeah, I might not know the pleasure that the viewers are enjoying except on playback. So you're welcome to know a pleasure I would never know. So
okay,
let's start off. Let me start off.
This is incredible.
Let's start on since we are sharing blessings. Let's start off first as we go online.
Good.
Chuka Ochema says, "You guys are really too good. Always playing. Bias daily, calling a spade by name. I'm hugely proud of you, all wonderful people. Thank you so much, Chuka. We'll see that. Pius Marcos says, good morning, wonderful team of New Central. May the Lord's blessings be with us all this festive season." He says, all right, on that note, we're going to start off a wake-up conversation.
We
need to move.
Just very quickly to our virtual audience.
You want to spoil
to our YouTube commenters.
Don't worry, we'll talk
I also want to give a special thank you. Those people who pious, there's certain constant figures on YouTube. Mokwe Chukwuemeka, thank you. Every day you start the show with us, you're always dropping comments.
Yeah.
I see it, we see it. I want to say thank you. And to Lillian Onoha, thank you so much.
And those who don't comment, there are lots of them.
And those who watch,
plenty of them, but they do watch.
Today we're going to take comments today, a lot of comments. So keep the comments rolling. Let's start with Abia State. Abia State Governor Alex Otti has dismissed rumors suggesting that he plans to defect to the All Progressives Congress. Speaking during a press briefing while responding to questions from journalists, the governor said that those waiting for, it's not me, I'm quoting him, those waiting for me to defect to APC will have to wait a longer time. He emphasized that political decisions should be based on individual conviction and context, not trends, adding that everyone has their opinion and circumstances. He says you don't just join APC because many other governors are joining. It's not my word. Let's hear him say it.
Was asking when I'm going to defect. Sonny, I think I would delegate you to go and defect on my behalf. Since you seem to be very certain, and because you work for this day, for the nation, right? So go and clear the way. I thought I had answered this question before to say I'm not defecting, but Sonny wants to force me to defect, and I've now delegated him to go and defect on my behalf. Or are you already there, waiting to receive me? You wait for a long time. All right. So, well, people have their individual opinions. Their circumstances are different. So you don't just take a decision because somebody else has taken a decision. You know about Oke and Ngwere. Ngwere mamri Oke Soreyama. So we are not people who do things because other people are doing them. There must be sufficient legitimate argument to do a particular thing. That's what I believe in. So anytime you come with superior argument on why I should defect, mark the words, superior argument. So, Sonny, when you are ready with superior arguments, then we can now give you a date. But for now, if it is because my brother governor's in Enugu, and you said Bayelsa, I thought Bayelsa left PDP. Has he joined APC? Has he joined? Okay, he's on the, okay, Sonny has a way of predicting who is going somewhere. All right, so.
Okay, so there you have it. Governor Alex Otti has shockingly revealed he will not be moving to the APC, especially because we see that there are trends. It's a growing trend. There's a speculation about shifting political alliances, but it's not just about Governor Alex Otti. It's the many governors we see moving. We've seen, even as of today in the news, I did see that some more lawmakers have moved to the APC in Rivers State. But typically, when we hear statements like this coming from politicians, Joe and Benga, honestly, I don't believe them a number of times.
I would put a caveat there for Alex Otti.
That's what exactly. I said typically, I don't believe when governors or politicians say things like this. But Governor Alex Otti has proven himself to be different. He's, people of Abia State, you speak to them, they love him. They are grateful for the kind of leadership and governance that he brings. He's brought much development to the state. And so right now, there really is no need for him to pander to the center. He's been doing the work for his people. And I mean, let's hear your thoughts.
And it doesn't get into all those political arguments, mudslingings. He's honed his skills in the private sector. He's not a professional politician. There's some people, like the FCT minister, since he was local government chairman of Obiapo. He's constantly been in government since 1999, I believe, up till this moment. So those ones are. Politics is ingrained in them. That's why they engage in all sorts of politicking and shenanigans. But Alex Otti, his primary concern is about the welfare and development of Abia State, and that's what he's facing. And,
he's
and the way things are is not under any sort of, and it doesn't have any political scandals or cases with anti-graft agencies that might apply some sort of unseen pressure.
And the thing is,
to defect.
Within the first year of Governor Alex Otti working, it wasn't the one of saying, oh, there's not enough time. Within the first year, you can see evidence. The most recent one, you see that he has restored electricity to 33 communities in Okwa West local government that have been out of power for 9 years. And they were governors before him.
He's talk and do. I remember when he went to this hostel at UNN, dilapidated hostel. It was almost like an abattoir.
Demolished?
Yeah. And rebuilt to a very good standard. So that's a working governor. I hope many state governors would emulate him.
Yeah, I think he also has another name that they call him. I think it's the poster. They call him the poster boy for all governors. And just 4 days ago, he had mentioned that after he's done with his governorship, in terms of being a governor, he's going to resign. He said he's not interested in any senatorial or presidential ambition.
He will not retire.
No, he said he's going to resign. He's going to retire. This is someone who has experience in the economy, the banking sector, and all that. He's well read, he's experienced. So I think he's proving one thing, that listen, let me come in and let me do what I need to do. However, like they say, it's not yet Uhuru. Let's get to see how the tenure will end, and is it going to be brought back by the people? Some are saying, obviously, it's a yes, it's a pass mark, but time will tell. Let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly as we move on. Let's see how they reacted to that story. Politicians, just like businessmen, if you take their words as the truth, you fool around and find out. It's possible they're at the negotiations table, and this is probably just a jab at APC to strengthen his negotiation, but you're here trusting his words for his credibility. Politicians, they get credibility, he's asking. Well, Gen Z, daddy, somehow you're right, too. In other words, what Alex Otti's statement means is that he will join APC, but not now. Wait a longer time. When he's done with his agreement with his current party, then APC, here he comes. Another one, Prince Zamani says definitely he will join the party, and he will come up with one excuse that join the ruling party will bring federal government projects closer. All right, we've seen about aligning with the center. And Codex says this is the only credible governor we have in our political space. Other governors ran to APC because they are corrupt and don't want EFCC Wala. We don't know about that. That's the
deodorant theory.
That's the deodorant
theory of deodorant and insecticide.
The Hope says Governor Otti's statement is a masterclass in political patience and individualism. Loyalty, strategy, and circumstance outweigh herd mentality, reminding observers that in politics, timing is as valuable as alignment, and convenience rarely dictates conviction.
Very well written.
This is very well written, yes, I hope. And that's all we're taking. But let us know your thoughts about Governor Alex Otti as we move to our second story right now.
The real superpower in Abia State is his lovely wife. But let's
go to our second story quickly. The Federal Inland Revenue Service is in the news. Now, they have announced that the National Identification Number, or NIN, will now serve as the official tax identification number, which is TIN, for all Nigerians. This means individuals no longer need to apply separately for a TIN. Your NIN does the job. The move is part of a broader push to streamline tax administration, close compliance gaps, and align with the federal government's digital identity strategy. Now, FIRS, which will be known as NIRS come January the 1st, says the integration will simplify taxpayers' records, also especially for those in the informal sector, and urge Nigerians to ensure their NINs, which is National Identification Numbers, are active and properly linked to financial and business accounts, as it is now, as it will be required basically for filing taxes, opening business accounts, and accessing government services. And that's exactly what we have. But let's see what Nigerians are saying about this, and then we'll come back and, of course, get to hear what our thoughts are. Unpopular opinion says, so as long as you have NIN, which everyone has, you'll be mandated to pay tax. This means millions of struggling Nigerians will be made to pay tax. Hawkers, artisans, and informal workers that earn very little will be dragged into paying this burdensome tax without extra income or support. This will only bring about more hardship on families already battling inflation in a system that is unfair to them. That's what Unpopular Opinion has to say. Johnson Olunade says, so no escape route. If money enters your account, your business account, it's captured. If it enters your personal account, the tax laws, eagle eye, see all. Anyway, let's take another one quickly. Kangaroo says, when it's time to debit your account, see how easy they make it. But God forbid you try to renew your passport to register your company without paying someone that knows a high-ranking officer. Shaking my head. And another one quickly. ES says, this is better. Yeah. Saves us the stress of obtaining another useless ID number. That's what ES says. And your senpai says, Unpopular Opinion, this is the first correct use of database I've seen this country do. And that's what your senpai says. Pretty much one last tweet. My problem is not with paying taxes. Our issues is with how to demand accountability for the taxes we are paying. Now, this is a different tonic, especially for this meal. But let's bring I don't know what you have to say.
I mean, global best practices is compliance, and Nigerians have complained of multiple identity platforms. That is good that there's an harmonization, but like one of the brilliant commenters there said, it's not paying the taxes, is what you use for taxes. And I hope Nigerians will wake up and hold their governments more accountable, most especially knowing that, look, well, now you can say taxpayers' money every time. Everybody is paying, there will be more compliance. So to whom much is given, much is expected. That's all.
So yes, this move is going to benefit FIRS, because now they're widening their tax bracket, right, or the tax base. Everybody would then have to, you cannot, it's not a selective situation of you, there's no way you can avoid it. Your NIN is your identification, it points to your citizenship, it's your identity as a Nigerian. So it's basically speaking to the fact that every Nigerian is an economic factor, is a part of building our economy. So just like Benga said, everyone is paying these taxes, you can't avoid it, they have access to this information. And I agree with that too. I said this is the best use of data that we had, because there's a multiplicity of registrations in our country. So yes, we don't need to go and start looking for tax identification numbers. This automatically works as your tax identification number. But like we said, or like Benga said, to whom much is given, much is expected. We need to ask for more. I remember when there was a tweet allegedly being put by someone who said you cannot tax from poverty. Interestingly, a lot has changed, because we're a multidimensionally poor country now, yet we're hammering down on tax. And this is not to say that we do not push for tax. The reason citizens push back against tax is not because they do not want to pay, but there's a breach of trust. They haven't seen a meticulous use of resources as it stands. You give first, and then you expect a return. And leadership is by example. And many would argue that what we've had so far is not been the best of leadership. So it doesn't inspire or motivate you to want to willingly play your part in contributing to the development of our economy. Well, let's hope that things look up going forward.
Very sad, though. Very sad in the sense that it's happening in January. Everything is happening in January. And I'm still hoping that maybe there'll be a pushback, but the federal government has indeed responded that the gazetted document is not what is circulating online. May I have one question?
MBA is pushing against?
May I have one question this morning? put it online.
Exactly. If you say, "Oh, this is not it," then show us the real one.
If this thing is simple, you are a thief. I'm not a thief. Oh, you stole. I did not steal. Okay, Oga, bring what you have inside your house. Let's see if it's truly yours.
Is it a secret document?
Exactly.
Something that is you're meant to start the implementation on the 1st of January. It's a no-brainer.
So that's where I have a problem. You're going to start January, but people don't know what the agreements are. People don't understand what they are going to be paying for.
Let's know what we're heading into.
It's simple. The analogy is just simple as ABC. So that's just where I think many Nigerians have a problem. And then again, the biggest one is the spending from the top. We see the huge convoys,
exactly.
the SSA to the SSA, the
items
to the SSA,
that keep recurring
SSA,
every year, as if furniture expires, as if spoons expire.
Look at the recurring expenditure. Yeah. Look at it from the tax and from the
so many
from the
ridiculous
budget.
line items.
It's high. Yeah. Even the experts have joined us and said, listen, the government spend is high. They need to cut down. So Nigerians will start wondering, okay, is it our money now that you used to start funding, your SSA to SSA?
And I hope that it will make people angrier. Angrier in the sense that when you see bad leadership, you're not, because whether we like it or not, one thing that works for our politicians, so, there's someone who says that Nigerian politicians are, the luckiest in the world. They can't believe how lucky they are because we have a very short attention span. You put pressure on a certain issue, after 1 week or 2 weeks, we move on to the next issue.
Or they start making
now, when you know your money
is
in there, when they're talking about taxpayers' money, you know you are a taxpayer. It will make everybody interested in how governance is run.
We saw what happened in the north when one lawmaker went to the north and how they welcomed him with slaps and beating.
Whilst we don't approve of that.
We don't approve of that.
Yes.
Why we're highlighting that is that history has shown that the more you tax people who are impoverished, the more you are igniting flame and fire in a country that everyone is expecting to get something.
Tax them without doing anything.
The argument against that, they will tell you that they're not really taxing the poor, because if you look at the numbers, is people who earn a certain amount who will get, there are some exemptions, and the poor typically will fall under the exemptions. But like we said, I think time will tell the coming days, even while NBA is pushing against that. But go on YouTube and let us know what you think.
I love this new MB on the Mazi.
I love it so much.
Very proactive.
It kind of also reminds me of the NBA under, what's the person, Olumide Akpata as well. Anyway, in a troubling twist for press freedom, it's reported that the Lagos State Police have been accused of abducting the wife and 9-month-old baby of investigative journalist Sadiq Atanda in a bid to trap him over a report exposing a 15,000 euro certificate of sponsorship scam. Now, according to the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, FIJ, officers detained Atanda's wife, Adenike, and their infant for over 5 hours at the Owutu police station in Ikorodu, coercing her into luring her husband by falsely claiming that their child was critically ill. When Atanda arrived, he was arrested and taken to the force headquarters in Obalende, where he was released just before midnight. His report had detailed how Adeyemi Awoyinfa, CEO of Legend Edex Immigration Consult, and now a Lagos-based real estate developer, allegedly collected 15,000
euros?
Yeah, 15,000 pounds actually, from a UK-based Nigerian for 2 COS documents that were never delivered, and later took 25,000 pounds from another client with the same result. The police have yet to explain the arrest, but the timing has raised serious concerns about the use of state power to intimidate journalists and shield alleged fraud. We've seen the tweets on social media where they had put out, FIJ had called out the police, but there have been reactions to this. Daniel Ojukwu says the evil of the police knows no end. It's condemnable that officers who swore to protect every Nigerian would expose a child and nursing mother to such trauma because of the peanuts some low life somewhere squeezed into their hands. This ill treatment of my colleague, Sadiq Atanda, and his family is painful on so many levels. But every thief has his climax. We will be there.
This is really sad.
FIJ had actually put out a tweet, but let's go on with some of the
Sadiq Atanda has been released. Yeah.
Exactly. Ifebi says it should be condemned. They have no right to arrest mother and child if they can't find who they are looking for.
Well, Chike Menoba says, good luck to many of you that believe NPF can be reformed. This is much more like he has given up. But the big story here is that there was a big question I did see from a media outlet and also an investigative media outlet. And they asked the question, in a country where we're battling with terrorists and kidnappers, what the police did, what can it be tagged as? That's the question.
Kidnapping.
That's kidnapping. Because you come unannounced, the wife and the child didn't know you were coming. You came with the mindset that if we can kidnap, or let's not use the word, it's kidnap because you took them.
Hold the baby.
You can hold the baby and the wife
the mother
in
lieu of.
Thank you. When you hold them, so they held her, and the pressure was so much. They told her to call the husband. So it was like it's like this what we see where people are kidnapped and they say call and ask that they pay this money or that you show up.
It's very criminal,
and that's what happened.
This again is dragging the reputation of the Nigerian police force in the mud.
I want to actually read out 2 tweets that we unfortunately can't display yet. But Fisayo Shoyombo, he explained this saying the police abducted the wife of FIJ Nigeria senior reporter Sadiq Katanda, his 9-month-old baby, and subsequently Sadiq himself, because he authored a news report on someone who took £15,000 for COS, failed to deliver, and failed to refund the money. The IGP monitoring unit left the man who took £15,000, but went after the man who wrote the article.
Imagine.
No way this is policing. No way this conduct is befitting of a police force. This is the Nigeria police force. Omele Showari then goes on a long rant. I can't go into the whole details. No, I'll just take a few excerpts. He says, just spoke with the FIJ publisher, Fisayo Shoyombo, who confirmed that Sadiq Atanda, a senior reporter at FIJ Nigeria, has been released by he uses a word to describe the DPO of Obalende police station in Lagos. He then says, what is deeply disturbing is how the police held his wife and their 9-month-old child hostage, effectively taking them as ransom. That's kidnapping. They forced the wife to call Atanda, falsely claiming that the child was sick and that they were at the hospital. When Atanda rushed over in panic, he was immediately handcuffed and detained.
A journalist, too.
Yes.
A journalist.
I mean, nobody should be arrested.
No, why I'm highlighting a journalist is that journalists, whether you like it or not, journalists, as they're referred to as we're referred to as the fourth realm of the society, a journalist also aids the police to do their job. The journalist has done the job, he has reported the incidents, he has done his investigative, he has, if you look at that article, according to a preview of that article, he had all the details. He spoke with the person who had paid the money. He had all the information.
But there's a response to that.
And he brought it forth to you and to the public.
And they arrested them.
Was it not time for the police to stand up and say, who is the person who committed this?
But the police has responded. CSP Benjamin Hundein says, in as much as you might want your depiction of the IGP to be true, it isn't. I was with him last night when Mujid Musikliu of the International Press Institute reached out to me about the arrest. I promptly informed the IGP and he was miffed. You might choose to believe I am making this up, but it is the truth. He directed at the head of the unit, not a DPO as you claimed, be contacted to release the journalist immediately. I updated Mujid accordingly. The IGP was particularly angry that this came up at a time when the police had pledged and had taken tangible steps to ensure press freedom. He equally ordered that the head of that unit be sanctioned for his conduct. IGP Egbetokun does not want and would not condone any setback.
What's the nature of the sanction? Why can't the head of the unit be named and shamed? This is kidnapping. This is bringing the entire reputation of the Nigerian police to disrepute. You can't treat it like, oh, it's with kid gloves. This is and you know, Mr. Benjamin Hunde is saying it like, oh, you might choose not to be. Of course, I believe everything you said, but what have you done? You haven't done anything. This is criminal conduct. It's kidnapping.
So the thing
okay,
is,
you released, but you committed a crime in the first place. You committed a crime.
Yes.
A very serious crime. You've caused trauma, embarrassment. What compensation would you offer Sadiq Atanda and his family? That is criminal.
That's
and
trauma.
Look at the trauma the wife will be going
from
through.
The police. You expect them to act in a more responsible fashion, knowing that they are law enforcement officers. They are held to a higher standard, and you can't just say it will be sanctioned. Let's go to sleep. End of matter. No, it's not end of matter.
We're not going to end it.
If you don't make an example out of this head of unit, I don't even know why he hasn't been named and shamed. then
that's typically the MO
continue to.
They hardly do the whole
it's like a old boys club, yes. A trade union, you know, looking after each member's interests until we see a harsh penalty, until that person is named and shamed. We're just awaiting the next scandal that will break in the Nigerian police. This is not something you sweep under the carpet.
This is a serious story.
You know, an infant, a mother forcing her to lie. This is the MO of kidnappers.
In a country where we're battling
insecurity,
crime, insecurity, and kidnapping, that it didn't happen.
So they're admitting that it happened. So, but the question
so what have they done? Where's the press? Where's the picture?
He's put it out.
Where are the pictures of the police officers? All of them who went to carry out that dastard act. And then you put them out there. You see, there's something we said here some weeks ago. Until the police creates a website where you can publish these police officers, let the public know that these persons have been dealt with, either they've been summarily dismissed. Let people understand. If you don't take punitive, strong measures, guess what?
If there are no
you will not be able to purge. You cannot purge the system. The system will continue that way. Now, guess what? A kidnapper recently. I did see the story as well. So people who were kidnapped are still in the kidnapper's den. They're asking for ransom. Now, a police officer in broad daylight, not in the rural area, in urban area, goes to carry out the same act. What's the difference? Semantics or possibly just name change?
Tomato.
In this case, maybe they wore uniform, so it seemed like they were more. They need to understand that that act alone that you carried out is similar to who they are now tagged as terrorists.
I mean, that's
kidnapping is now terrorist. I bet you know.
That's a dismissal offense. Dismissible offense.
Yeah. All right. I mean, just to mention that the police, through Benjamin Hundeyin, has said they acknowledge what has happened, that the particular police officer is being disciplined, or they're handling it. But like you said, there should be a.
We need more and transparency.
You know what? That if care is not taken, we're saying it here, and we hope that Benjamin Hundeyin is listening to us, and we hope that he would respond again. And the response is, please, let's put out a press release. Let's understand. I think all journalists should come in solidarity in terms of come together and ask that action be taken. The truth
I agree with you.
The truth is, the police officers will do their job better when they have journalists who are equally doing a better job. And that's the fact. If this young journalist has gone forth in digging deep, all the police officers needed was to tell him, thank you very much. In short, the person whom you accuse has even come to us to offer. There's no way you will say that the person did not offer anything.
Yes.
But the police officer
that's on their own.
A police officer that something is wrong with you, you go there, you report, they say, there's no fuel in the car. You have to put fuel in the car. So will they just wake up and then go and look for somebody without the person having done one or two? We know these things now.
The police should not be used as a tool to wrongfully
settle domestic scores.
Exactly, and to wrongfully set the law in motion against regular Nigerians and civilians. But let's move to some good news, it would seem. Because we have been following this story and we interviewed some of the parties representing the particular person. After 11 years on death row, Sunday Jackson is finally a free man thanks to a state pardon granted by Adamawa Governor Amadu Fintiri. Jackson was convicted back in 2014 for killing a herder in what he insisted was self-defense during a clash on his farmland. His case sparked outrage, with many calling it a miscarriage of justice. His case drew attention nationally and internationally, and there was pressure after U.S. Congressman Riley Moore shined a spotlight on his plight, describing it as part of what he called Christian genocide in Nigeria, and publicly calling for Jackson's release. Jackson's story is one of survival, controversy, and a long wait for justice, and it has now come full circle as he walks free alongside others granted clemency in the governor's latest round of pardons. Let's once again replay Riley Moore, U.S. Congressman Riley Moore's statement when he spoke on behalf of Jackson Sunday.
Nigerian government to take a look at pardoning Sunday Jackson, who is an individual who was fighting for his own life, defending his life against one of these Fulani militants. That Fulani militant lost his life in that struggle, and now that person, Sunday Jackson, is facing the death penalty. Now, where's the justice in that? Where is the justice in that? And all these Fulani militants are breaking the law. They are breaking Nigerian law. And so this Sunday Jackson disarms this person with a knife, protects his own life. He's going to prison and now faces the death penalty. And Fulani militants just roaming bands of them with AK-47s, and that's no problem. You are so right about this question of prioritization.
Well, let's get to see what Nigerians are saying concerning this latest update on Sunday Jackson. Let's go on X. Hallelujah to Jehovah. When Jehovah turns down the captivity of Zion, they are like men that dream dreams. Yeshua be praised. Mastermind says. I don't know if he said it that way though, but you know. He should watch his back because those who freed him still want him dead for killing a Fulani terrorist. We don't know if it's a Fulani terrorist. Let's just be mindful. A terrorist is a terrorist. Doesn't matter where it comes from. The act is what counts. It's haram in their evil religion. They still want to come for him when the dust is settled and everyone's attention is away. Kelechi Ambrose, well, just to educate you, if one carries out an act that's terrorist in nature, it's on the person. It's on the person. It's not on tribe or whatever. So please let's take note of that. Jackson is free after 10 years. His only offense was to have defended himself using the weapon the header attacked him with. Congratulations to Jackson. Dong, your hometown will tangle all night. They never stop believing you would be free someday, Ira says. And if we have one last one, let's take one last one. This is a great development. I can't believe it took President DJT to get the Nigerian government to start acting like a responsible government, he says. Thank you, Godwin Love. That's what we're going to take on this story as well.
Of the truth post by President Donald Trump. Yes, he caused a lot of movement in Rancor in Nigerian political.
And now we have the U.S. Congressman Riley Moore. He says, Sunday Jackson is free. Thanks be to God, more to soon come.
Very good news. And to add to this good news, I don't know how you guys will take it, if it's good news or not, or you take it with a pinch of salt. The federal government says they will start deleting the accounts of those bandits and terrorists.
As they should.
On TikTok.
Yes, as they should. I mean, should do on social media. What about deleting these individuals in real life?
Delete their social media.
And doing something about, doing something about that. But it's good to see some movement towards eradicating this menace from our society.
Like they say, when the federal government does well, Nigerians hail. When they don't, they sigh.
All right, just to take a few comments very quickly. We have from Chuka Ochiama says, even if Otti joins APC, it wouldn't still make suffering Abians to vote for Tinubu Cup 2027. Ochodi says, very good. So let's also vote with the NIN. Chikena.
I mean, it makes sense.
Okay.
That's true.
And then the final comment, Timo Ubiko says, Nigeria is totally under an evil spell. The case of Sunday Jackson is a classic. Our National Assembly never even discussed his matter. Wow.
Did they even do a town hall on insecurity in the country? You are talking of Sunday Jackson. Well, did you see what happened in the Congress? How it was very emotional for hours. Yes, and then in your own country that these things are happening. You move on to prayers. First Lady has invited us for dinner.
The one thing you would know is that even if they do not hold town halls, here in New Central, we will always hold town halls in different parts of the country.
Bring the stories
Bring in the stories that matter to you because your voice matters and your experience matters. But now let's share with you what our headlines, our top stories this morning are on Breakfast Central. This morning on Breakfast Central, our top stories. The FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, openly vows to hold PDP down for President Tinubu, according to Governor Seyi Makinde. FIRS declares NIN CAC numbers as tax ID for Nigerians. The Nigerian Bar Association demands suspension of tax reform implementation over the alleged alteration. Representatives extend 2024 to 2025 budget bill and pass Electoral Amendment Act. We'll review the newspaper front pages. Stay with us for all these. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Starting January 2026, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, will no longer issue separate tax identification numbers. Instead, your National Identification Number, NIN, will serve as your tax ID if you are an individual, and your Corporate Affairs Commission registration number will do the same for businesses. This move, backed by the Nigeria Tax Administration Act, NTAA, is being hailed as a step towards simplifying tax compliance and broadening the tax net. But is it that simple, or are there deeper implications for privacy, financial access, and enforcement? Now, joining us for this discussion this morning is economist Gbolahan Olojede. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Very close to when the implementation is set to kick off, we get the announcement officially that your NIN and your CAC will serve as tax IDs. What will be the implication of this for individuals and businesses? And what then happens to those who already had an existing tax identification number?
Okay. Thus far is the fact that it appears as if some of our numbers in this country are not modernized. Ordinarily, a single individual should have a single identity. So all your numbers, be it BVN, be it NIN, be it tax identity card, all the numbers should be associated with only one person, a unique, set of numbers associated with one person, such that if it is just your a driver's license that I lay hands upon, I can pull up all the other information, including your passport number, your every information about you should be available. I still remember vividly doing a self-check-in at an airport in Chicago many years ago. And it was my school ID card. The school ID card has every information about me. And it was enough for me to do a self-check-in. That is how it should be. The typical American environment would just say the last four digits of your social security card. And every other information is available once they have the last 4 digits of your social security card. So I think it is a simple way out of what would have been a more complex problem to simply adopt NIN or the RC number of companies as the tax ID, instead of having to go through that process of asking people to apply for tax ID, let's allocate tax ID to you. I have had 2 different tax IDs, for example, as an employee and as a self-employed person. Though all those things are meant to be linked together. I think it's the best way to simplify 2026 if we are going to implement the tax law.
Now, Mr. Olojede, the FRS says the use of the NIN as a tax identification number will eliminate duplication and streamline compliance. But what are the operational risks of linking identity and tax data so tightly, or are there no risks involved?
All of them are, as a matter of standard, supposed to be linked. All your numbers. So today, if you want to get an international passport and you give them any of those numbers, they will pull up all the rest of your numbers. There is a genuine concern about whether these numbers will be exposed unduly and used for nefarious, especially nefarious financial activity. That concern is genuine. But the answer to that is not to unify all these numbers. Rather, is to find effective ways of ensuring that people who have responsibility for this information will take care of those information and will be held responsible for those information that have been provided to them. That is the way to go. So there's an agency of government that is taking that very seriously, data protection agency. And we just have to ensure that whatever is required by an agency like that to succeed, to ensure that data cannot be allowed to slip into the wrong hands. And if for whatever reason that should happen, people will be punished accordingly for whatever slip happens through them. We might be able to mitigate that risk of numbers getting into the wrong hands, as it were. Already, today, a lot of our numbers are everywhere. They are with telecoms, they are with banks, they are with passport office, they're everywhere already, as we speak.
Okay, it's also understandable that when it comes to data, we do have data laws that are protecting every single Nigerian. But in the case of this tax implementation, do you think that maybe more time should be given so that Nigerians can start to feel a sense of understanding and belief especially as an economist, because this is just new. And this is new because the countdown to the launch of the tax reform, it's just a few days away. And we're having this. We understand that they've said there will be fine-tuning here, not there, and so on. Don't you think all the fine-tuning should be done first before Nigerians are moved into this new tax reform?
Perfect timing for implementation. The law recognizes the fact that we would need this identification and has already included it there. It is now a matter of, okay, this identification that you said we will require, how are we going to get it? And the simple way is to put, I think what we have is a general situation of distrust about the new laws, not exactly a desire for a wait for things to be perfect. That is not the issue. The issue is that the people don't even trust the tax law. They believe it is bringing a lot of additional burden and all the rest of it. That really is the problem. While, for example, you will see a lot of talk about concerns that might be, will impact people's income. I can't remember seeing anywhere where anybody decided to make public the fact that corporate tax will reduce under the new law from 30% to 25%. But it is the one that appears as if it might be burdensome that people tend to talk about. So, in a way, there is a lot of citizens' education that needs to continue to happen. If there are segments of the law that we need to push forward the implementation, I am not averse to that, so that people can get more educated. But what we have to be concerned about is that there are also very strong forces that do not want this thing to happen. They don't want this law to happen. And it will be such a sad situation if we allow everything to be frustrated on the altars of, oh, this one is not perfect, that one is not perfect. I think we need to implement. If there are sections that we need to hang on to and wait a bit, that's fine. But to wait and suspend everything, waiting for a perfect time, there will never be a perfect time for taxation. People don't want tax. They don't want it, so there will never be a perfect time for tax.
Okay, you say that we should implement it now at the moment, because there will never be a perfect time. But how do we guarantee and assure Nigerians? Because some of the allegations of the discrepancies are strong. The government, yes, has come out to debunk these, but the lawmaker did this in public view. We all saw him. And there have been anonymous sources who have shared what might be detrimental to Nigerians. But we don't have
even
access.
The NBA is
yes, the NBA is pushing for this not to be implemented yet until we get clarity. Don't Nigerians deserve to have some form of clarity? Because too much is given, much is expected. If you're asking citizens and demanding that citizens pay tax, we must be sure that not only are you going to use the tax for the benefit of improving the quality of lives of citizens, but that there aren't any clauses within the law that traps the citizens.
Technology makes things easier. If I have 2 pieces of document on soft copy today, I can identify within minutes all the changes between the differences between those 2 documents. Technology makes that possible, which means we can actually pick out whatever is agreed as the final document that should have been passed and what eventually got gazetted. We can identify it now. I have seen some of the things that were being put up on the internet as the discrepancies. To be honest with you, those discrepancies, the amended version, the gazetted version, were actually better than the one that was said to have been the past version. But that is not the issue here under the kind of accusations that have been made. The accusation being made was that after the people have passed the law, some individuals altered that law and gazetted the altered version. We must get to the bottom of whoever did that and ensure that they face the full wrath of the law as it were. While I have said that, look, I've seen those clauses and some of them, the amended one appears actually better than what was originally passed. That was just a coincidence. There could also have been an evil insertion of clauses into the law. And that is why it is important to get to the bottom of it, get people appropriately punished. But since we can identify what these amendments were, we can isolate them and then deal with them while the rest of the law can go ahead.
Yeah. Mr. Olojede, you're talking about identifying and dealing with it. I mean, this is people's monies we're talking about. And you don't want to have trust issues, especially when it comes to financial transactions. What would be your expectation, or what should the government do in the interim? Because the government has come out to deny this. And like we said earlier this morning, if you deny, then put out the final document, let Nigerians know, so that they can, prepare their minds for what's to come on the 1st of January. What would be your recommendation to assuage all fears and to ensure 100% compliance for come 1st of January 2026?
Not so an easy assignment to do. There is the National Assembly that passed the law. There is the executive that gazetted the law. Have a committee of those people. So this is the National Assembly, the House of Representatives, the Senate. In fact, put the senator who identified the discrepancy in that committee. Then the executive, including the tax people themselves, the task force that put together the law. Put everybody in the same room. Like I said, technology makes it easy. You can identify the differences between two documents, pull them out, and let them agree it. So they can finalize it, and we can have the final copy, as it were, that were agreed by the parties. But what I'm saying is that 5 or 6 clauses that has to do with some litigation part cannot be a basis for saying don't go ahead with this law. Isolate those things, finalize them. I believe those things could be finalized within a very short period anyway. And they do not really affect most part of the law. So they might be a 0.01% part of the entire document. So while the basis, which is to say somebody altered the law, we must get to the bottom of that, and I hope we do so. And right. Whoever did it, or the people, gets punished appropriately for the crimes against the country. But it shouldn't be a basis for throwing the baby and the bathwater out.
All right, so today, if you can, in 30 seconds or less, finally, how can individuals and businesses put themselves in order, especially for those maybe who have been running their business from their personal accounts? What do people need to do to ensure that they are ready themselves and their businesses before the 1st of January?
On the tax law, recently, the people involved have been doing a lot of campaign on social media. We need to do more. We need to use some of those channels for education, including religious organizations, churches, mosques, community associations, to further educate the people. Even on a personal level, I have a couple of people who I have to sit down with before the end of this year and take them through how it affects their businesses. In my organization, we've had to organize a couple of webinars to tell our clients how this will affect them. So it must continue until people get more familiar and are comfortable with the dictates of this law.
Okay.
So just to, push back a little. You've said individual organizations, religious leaders should ensure that they educate. So can you give us, if I were to ask you off the top of your head, a 30 seconds to 1 minute education, if you were talking to a group of people and you wanted to teach them or prepare them for how to be ready for the tax implementation on the 1st of January, what would you say to them?
Well, they're business people. I would like to know what their revenue is like so that I can guide them, because I know exactly how some sections of the document will affect different income levels. So we can guide them whether you want to place them in the minimum tax bracket or the people that are totally exempt. If you're a small business and you are exempted from tax, it's important that that person knows that he's exempted from taxation. And what kind of legal vehicle does it require to be able to get himself exempted? I also want to be able to tell people, please keep records of your sale, records of your purchases, so that if somebody comes tomorrow and say, oh, I have estimated that your tax should be 10 naira, I can say, this is how much I bought for, this is how much I sold for, this is my profit. Therefore, what you have given me as my taxation is too much. This is the real figure. But if there are no information, you don't keep records, you mix your business money with your personal money and everything is the same cocktail, then you're going to have challenges when you are given a best of judgment assessment by the tax office.
All right, that's one key note that everyone should take to heart. Get ready. But let's keep our fingers crossed. January 2nd is around the corner and everybody is waiting. And good enough, there's also provision for tax ombudsman. So just in case you have any requirement to either call the taxes or feel like, no, this wasn't done properly, the ombudsman will be there to also support. And we also have you. You're around. So we can put a call through to you whenever we need more assistance. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Ms. Olojede.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Before we move on,
I want to quickly introduce the video from the tax
ombudsman. I want to refer to something that Mr. What's the taxman's name now?
Taiwo
Oyedele, when we were at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, and he was asked the question about the ombudsman, and he said, we don't want to we're removing the man from it, and I said, that's a feminist man right there. So it's now called the tax ombuds. Please go ahead.
Ombudsperson.
No, just tax ombuds, he said.
Please, let's see what the FIRS, in a short video.
No, but it's true. It's not my words.
Is it a
what he said.
thing?
No. I think he was just trying to play on the words, but that did actually are removing the man from the
So Olive, for those of us here, are you a member of humanity?
Good question.
I am a member of humanity.
Okay. Why don't you have a problem with the man?
I'm telling you what he said.
Okay, not that you're supporting it. Are you supporting it?
Yeah, of course.
You like it?
Yes.
Okay, so are you a journalist?
So let's share this video with you on what FIRS has said regarding the NIN and how that affects your accounts as well as the CAC and how that would play into the taxation scheme. Let's take a look.
Everyone, there have been misinformation about the tax ID, and I'm here to let all of us know that the Nigeria Tax Administration Act, NTAA, mandates the use of tax IDs for certain transactions. This requirement is not new. It has existed since the Finance Act 2019 and has been strengthened under the NTAA. The tax ID unifies all things previously issued by FIRS and state IRS into a single identifier. For individuals, your NIN automatically serves as your tax ID, while for companies, that is for registered companies, your CAC RC number is used. You do not need a physical card. Please, enough of the rumors. You do not at all need a physical card. The tax ID is a unique number linked directly to your identity. The new tax ID system simplifies identification, reduces duplication, closes loopholes for tax evasion, and ensures fairness so that everyone who earns taxable income contributes their share while protecting non-taxable low-income citizens.
There you have it. We hope that this sort of brings clarity to what the expectations are. And it's not too late for people who haven't registered businesses because, you heard from that interview when Mr. Olojede was saying how certain persons run their businesses from their personal accounts. So it's not too late for people to now start exploring the idea of registering a business name. And what's interesting is some banks have made it easy for you where you can go on their app and register a business name in seconds. So they are infusing that technology to ensure that while you're registering your business name, your account number will serve as your CAC registration. So technology has made it easier. So we're not having a cumbersome process. Back in the day, for you to be able to register a company or a business name, you had to get a lawyer, you have to go to CAC, do the search. It was a long process. But it's been simplified, and we hope that it makes it easier for people.
It makes it easier. Also, one question I forgot to ask Mr. Olojede was, which one is better, business name or limited liability company? Many have said the limited liability company is far better when it comes to tax reforms as regards business name, but it's just a statement. Hopefully when we have our next guest, would find a way to ask that, infuse that question in for clarity, especially for our viewers, so they get to know. That's just one out of many questions everyone seems to be asking. Another question really is, if you have, if you've been using your personal account to run businesses, in this case, what would be the tax implication and so on and so forth? I know you did ask the question, but there are other angles to that question too that we'd like to touch on. So you can trust us here on Breakfast Central. We'll try as much as possible to do a breakdown of what the new tax laws are and how it will affect you and also affect your business as well. But like they rightly said, your NIN and your RC number. So for those who have businesses, go and check your RC number and try to memorize it now. And it's very key, because going forward, every single thing you spend will actually work out. But let's move away now. Let's go to another one. This time, another story. The National Counter-Terrorism Center has thrown its weight behind the recent classification of bandits and not state actors responsible for violent attacks on citizens by the presidency. Coordinator of the center, Major General Adamu Laka, during the end of the year engagement with media in Abuja, says that the recently released formal classification by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will help unify the federal government's response to several violent crimes, including banditry, cattle rustling, attack on innocent communities, amongst others. Take a look.
The president's formal classification of bandits, armed non-state actors, and other criminal gangs as terrorists represents a significant and transformative shift in Nigeria's national security policy. It is a deliberate policy and legal recategorization by the president of a sovereign nation, with significant implications indicating a strategic pivot towards a more unified and forceful response to the multifaceted violent crisis plundering our dear country.
So it's all about the classification, what it means, and just like you heard, it will help unify the process in curbing any form of terrorism. So it's no longer going to be, when you hear of cattle rustling, you're not going to identify it as cattle rustling.
Yes, so the nomenclature really does matter, especially with regards to law and human rights concerns. So with this classification, you could deploy certain assets that used to be restricted to use for only those identified as terrorists. So you cover the whole gamut. But let's hope, like you rightly identified yesterday, that we saw this name change of nomenclature during
President
Muhammadu Buhari era. How much difference did that make? Let's hope it's not just on paper, it's not just semantics, that it does make a real difference in operational battlefield conditions, and we see results emanate from this, positive results in dealing with insecurity issues. And
just to add, I kind of like agree with the classification process, because what it also simply means is that if we hear of any form of insurgency, you know, oftentimes we usually use unknown gunmen, bandits, criminals, non-state criminal actors. Elements, non-state actors. Exactly. But now what this classification has done from the presidency now, or the government, is to ensure that anything within the gambits of criminality, insurgency, banditry, cattle rustling, name it, call it whatever you may call it, they have all been grouped under terrorism. So it means that anyone who is carrying out these acts and thinks that I'm just engaging in something that is minor. After all, I just took somebody into the bush and I was asking for some small money to make so, you are engaged in terrorism. And that's exactly what it's done. And that means that the same stick that is being wielded on terrorists, whether they engage in bigger crimes, is the same stick that will be wielded on you. I think they've just taken away the carrot. That's and they've left only the stick.
As they should have done.
Yeah, a long time ago.
So now, would they flog with the stick?
That's the million-dollar question. Let's hope and see. Let's wait and see.
All right.
Okay. We'll go on a break. When we come back, we'll have another conversation to look into. Don't forget, too, that there was a big one that we did not touch, and we're going to touch in the next hour, that had to do with a press parley or better still, a media talk or media chat. And this time it had to do with a former member of the G5, which is now defunct, and a current governor who spoke with members of the press. We'll be back to talk about all of that and spill more of the tea. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has gone public with a startling claim that Minister of the FCT and former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike told President Bola Ahmed Tinubu he would hold the PDP for him ahead of the 2027 elections. Speaking during a media chat in Ibadan on Tuesday, Governor Makinde recounted a meeting he attended alongside President Tinubu, Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and others. He alleged that Wike offered to hold the PDP for Tinubu ahead of the 2027 elections, a pledge the governor said came unsolicited by the president. Makinde stressed that Wike is free to support Tinubu. He himself has not chosen to do so and believes all Nigerians should be allowed to make independent political choices.
And I'm saying this, in an open chat. The president's chief of staff was also in that meeting, and a few others. And Wike said to the president that, well, sir, I will hold PDP for you, against 2027. I was in shock. So we got up, we got to the veranda. I said, Wike, did we agree to this? I don't like talking about people, and I will not talk about people or talk about events. But I'll talk about the real issue. The real issue is that Wike would like to support the president for 2027. That's fine. It is within his right to do that. But also some of us that want to, ensure that democracy survives in Nigeria. We don't drift into a one-party state, and we want to ensure that PDP survives. It should also allow us to do our own thing. That is just the issue between me and Wike. And I confided in a mutual friend of us after that meeting. And I kept thinking, okay, the president did not ask him, do this for me. He was the one that volunteered that I will do that. So when I was telling our mutual friend, I said, look, maybe he was talking about an errand that the president never sent him. So let's watch, let's engage him. Let's see if he will back off. But he never did. So after he didn't back off, I said, well, now it's time to confront him. Because I told him from that day that I will never be a part of this. And that is why I will not be supporting the president for 2027. Wike can support him, he's within his right, but also it is within my own right to decide within the political space who I will support or what I will do in 2027.
Well, that statement has generated mixed reactions from various quarters. Joining us for this discussion is political analyst, one who's very conversant with the southwestern politics as well. We do have Mr. Jide Ojo who joins us this morning. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Compliments of the season.
Thank you. At a split second, I had to take a look at your cap again to be sure what logo was on it. But it's fine, so that we can proceed.
So we know the line of questioning to toe.
Anyway.
No, I'm not participating.
Okay, that's fine.
At all.
All right. The FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, and of course, the governor you just saw there, Governor Makinde, were part of the very popular and infamous G5 governors who refused to back former Vice President Atiku Abubakar in 2023. But now it seems that the alliance indeed has tumbled. But what do you make of the statement that he just said, especially in that video where the PDP was now giving room for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu without the notice for the G5, but of course one man decided to take the lead?
Well, I've been reviewing that situation since yesterday afternoon when that news came out. And what I made of it is the chicken is coming home to roost as per what are the immediate causes of the current imbroglio within the PDP fold. As I said on another media channel yesterday night, for every problem there is an immediate and remote causes. We know that PDP had been in throes of pain, in pangs of pain since 2015 when it lost the presidency. But in the immediate period since 2023, it will seem like that challenge has exacerbated for PDP. And now, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State was just giving perspective to what you and I may not know as being the immediate cause of the current crisis. And I've had it prior to now that part of the negotiation, terms of negotiation between the fielding parties in PDP was that Nyesom Wike allegedly said PDP should not field a presidential candidate in 2027, and that so that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu will have a leeway. And the other camp said, no, it's within our right to field the presidential candidate. Why would you say a party with a legacy party like PDP should not field the presidential candidate? And to all intents and purposes, rumor mill has had it that Seyi Makinde of Oyo State had presidential ambition, that he would want to contest in 2027. Whether he wins or not is secondary. The popular saying is that if you don't buy a ticket, you cannot win a lottery. If you don't throw a dice, you will never throw six. So he is ready to take chances, whether he wins or not in 2027. And that's why he wants to remain within the PDP, salvage the situation. Larry Olayinka's statement that was published on X yesterday night, where he said Seyi Makinde is unreliable, he doesn't have loyalty to any fidelity to any cause. Then he traced his political history, how he moved from PDP in 2007 to ANPP, and then in 2015 how he moved from PDP to SDP to contest his first gubernatorial election before he now eventually won in 2019. But it's within his rights to join any political association or party of his choice. And don't also forget, one thing many of us may not be privy to is that perhaps Seyi Makinde is also pained that for all the work he did for President Bola Tinubu in 2023, he possibly didn't get commensurate compensation. Because we know that the reason why Nyesom Wike is sitting as FCT minister today was because for the very first time, he was able to win Rivers State for the opposition, which was the APC, even though 2 weeks after he delivered the governorship and other position to PDP. And Oyo State, Seyi Makinde did say, he also delivered the Oyo State to President Bola Tinubu. He won massively across the 33 local government. And you may ask yourself, what compensation did Seyi Makinde get for supporting President Tinubu in 2023? The only minister from Oyo State, Bayo Adelabu, Minister of Power, was at that time in a court party. He was in Accord Party as at 2023. He contested the governorship election under Accord Party. And then President Tinubu decided to give him the only ministerial slot for your state. And you ask yourself, if Seyi Makinde worked for President Tinubu, why was he not allowed to nominate the ministerial candidate for your state? That is the underlying reason why he said, I will not work for this president in 2027. I would rather go alone. And so that, he may not have voiced that yesterday, but I think that may have been part of the reason why he said, no, I'm not going to work for this president in 2027. And it is within my rights to so do.
Okay. So again, I mean, it's a bit of a concerning situation how things have turned out. If Wike is holding PDP for Tinubu, you know, what does this say about the APC's 2027 strategy?
What does it say there about what?
APC's 2027 strategy.
Of course, it's obvious, even to the blind, my sister, it's obvious to the blind that Wike is holding PDP for Tinubu. Why did I say so? You know, ordinarily, initially, many of us thought it was Atiku Abubakar, Tambuwa, Amechi, and the rest that were the problem of PDP. And that if only they can leave the party, there will be peace. But after the exit of Tambuwa and Atiku and several other chieftains of PDP, about March, April this year, when they joined ADC, why is it that that problem is still persisting? And obviously, Wike is living true to his commitment to Asiwaju Tinubu. Look at the local government elections that were held October this year in Rivers State. 20 out of the 23 local governments were won by APC. Only 3 were won by PDP, including Obiakpo, where Wike comes from. All his loyalists in PDP have crossed over to APC, leaving only 2 House of Reps members out of about 13. Still, Chinda is just the minority leader, which is possibly why he could not defect. That may be, that may not be the entire reason why he has not defected. But all the foot soldiers of Wike had already defected, or most of his foot soldiers have already defected to APC. But why has he not joined them? Even his own governor has joined APC. He wants to ensure that he stays in PDP to ensure that that party is fraught with litigation to the point that if he doesn't get any advantage, no other group will get advantage in that party. Look at what has happened yesterday. The Turaki team that thought INEC would give them recognition got the shock of their life yesterday when INEC Secretary Dr. Rose Oriaro Anthony wrote them yesterday that because of litigation, we cannot recognize you or give validity to what you did in Ibadan. And who knows, this case is on appeal to the Court of Appeal. We don't know when Court of Appeal will rule. We don't know if any of the fielding parties will still go to Supreme Court. Meanwhile, by February 2026, INEC will give out notice of election for 2027. So while litigation is going on, a PDP will continue to empty. The chieftains of PDP will continue to live in droves. Look at Muftuan. Just this week, was it this week that news came out that Muftuan, governor of Plateau State, has also defected. Taraba has defected. Only 4 governors are now left in PDP. The Zamfara governor, Oyo governor, Akomapa governor, and Bauchi governor. Out of 12 that they had in 2023. That is disastrous. So for me, the implication is very great. There is no gainsaying the fact that Wike is playing the spoiler's role. it's either my way or highway. If you will not listen to me not to field the presidential candidate in 2027, I will make sure that whoever emerges as presidential candidate does not have validity. So it's achieving the commitment he made to the president. Whether the president extracted that commitment from him or not, as Seyi Makinde said yesterday, that to the best of his knowledge, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu did not ask him or commit him to make that vow. But he is playing that role effectively, perhaps because he wants to retain his position as the governor of FCT, even though he's a minister. But we know a minister in FCT is more or less a governor of a state, because even in the eye of the Supreme Court, FCT is deemed to be a state, given the Supreme Court decision of 2023 presidential election.
Now, having talked about the PDP, I mean, the PDP is a legacy party. They held sway for 16 years, and to imagine the 2027 elections without the PDP fielding a presidential candidate would be disastrous. And even those who are supporters of the APC have said, you know, it's not really good for our democracy, what's happening. So where's the hope of the PDP? Is it in the courts where they will finally decide which faction they recognize? And is there still room for the PDP to fix its house ahead of 2027? Or is it a tall order?
My brother, from my own vantage position as an analyst, as somebody who has worked with political parties over 2 decades, the solution to PDP crisis is not in any court, not even in Supreme Court. Look at what has happened with Labour Party. Supreme Court has made a decision. But the two factions in Labour Party are still interpreting Supreme Court decision one way or the other. The Abure faction is saying that Supreme Court decision is to their advantage. The Alex Otti faction, which also have Nadi Usman, is also interpreting that the Supreme Court decision is to their advantage. Even though in the recent past, INEC seems to have aligned with Abure camp, that is the validly National Working Committee. So what am I saying? Even if Supreme Court makes a decision, it's still better for them to have reached time and resolve this crisis in a matured manner. INEC has done its own bit. I appreciate the new INEC chairman, Professor Jide Ojo, for calling the two warring factions together. He had about 3 hours meeting with them, had them out, and made proposal. But the two of them are digging deep. They are saying it's either their way or highway. INEC has a directorate of EADR, we call it Electoral Alternative Dispute Resolution, which the party will take advantage of, even outside of the meeting of the commission. But will they subject themselves to that arbitration or mediation? The answer is in the wings. So if they put their hope in the Supreme Court or in any of the courts, time may run against them, which is why many of their elected members are bailing out. Look at Governor Ademola Adeleke. He would rather stay in PDP, but he was being mindful of the validity of his nomination. Because obviously now, from the INEC communication yesterday, that is not recognizing the Turaki faction, it then means that the candidate of PDP in Osun State, which has emerged through the Kabiru Turaki-led National Working Committee, that nomination is invalid in the eye of the law. Because if INEC has come out after the party primaries to say, we are not recognizing your faction, neither are we recognizing the Wike faction, it then means that whoever is running under PDP in Osun State is just wasting its resources. Because unless by the time the election is held, the Supreme Court gave validity to his own nomination, that is when he will be home and dry. And does he even have a chance of winning that election in Osun State? The answer is no. The best chance they had to retain Osun State was to have Governor Ademola Adeleke as their candidate. And the governor had to bail out barely few hours to the commencement of that primary, because he wasn't sure whether the Kabir Turaki-led National Working Committee is right in the eye of the law. And the answer has come out yesterday to say no, neither of the two factions is recognized. It then means that, technically speaking, PDP does not have a candidate in Osun State. And that will have affected Governor Ademola Adeleke if he has stayed put in that party. And that's what will happen to even the Zamfara State Governor. Because as he waits, if that issue does not get resolved, and he is a first-time governor, he will be thinking, will this issue be resolved in good time for my nomination to be valid? If the answer is no, what he will do in the first quarter of next year will be to defect, maybe to defect to ADC if he doesn't want to go to APC, or go to any other party. And that is what has also haunted Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State out of PDP, because he's also a first-time governor. The only people who are safe, who may stay put till the end of this show, is Governor Seyi Makinde and Governor Bala Mohammed, because they are both second-time governor. Even that of Adamawa too is also a second-time governor. So it may not affect the election bid, except for the fact that they may also want to come to the Senate. We know how the governors behave, that they have turned the Senate rest home, where they can go and cool off after 8 years of government or as a governor. So this whole issue will continue to haunt PDP. The best way would be to resolve the issue amicably through an arbitration or mediation or any other alternative dispute resolution mechanism, because that is faster, that is cheaper, and that will fashion a win-win solution to both factions.
Okay. All right, just to wrap things up, because we need to move to the next conversation. My last question would be, yesterday during the media chat, he did talk about the one-party state. But let's just take a look at the video concerning the one-party state, especially that which we're seeing now. You've touched on seeing governors flee, because it's actually looking like it's a race on who would get into APC first.
The people that negotiated Nigeria, they have two major things that was in there, in that negotiation. First, federalism. That's why they called us Federal Republic of Nigeria. Two, multi-party democracy. That is why, upon independence, you have an action group here, you have Northern People's Congress, you have Northern NEPU, you have NEPU, you have NCNC, you understand? At independence, it was multi-party democracy. So now you're moving the country towards, a one-party state. It won't work. If you move the country towards a one-party state, what happens the day you require a multi-party or bipartisan approach to issues? Who are you going to call? The day you move the country towards a one-party state, you remember what happened with the Arab Spring. Once people don't have leadership, they will find leaders, by all means. So we better get our acts together as political leaders in this country.
All right, in 1 minute, what's your reaction to that statement made by the governor?
Well, I forgive my governor, Seyi Makinde, for thinking that when you say one-party state, it means only one political party existing. No, he's a chemical engineer. I think he's a chemical engineer, or he's an engineer. So I will pardon him for thinking that Nigeria will one day wake up to be just one party. No, we will continue to have be a de jure multi-party state, but a de facto one-party state. As I've said on several media channels, this is not new. In US, people think in US there are only 2 political parties. I've been to US to observe election. There are over 100 political parties operating in US, but you only hear of Republican and the Democratic Party. In UK, you always hear of Conservative and the Labour Party, but there are over 8 political parties in United Kingdom. In Ghana here, there are about 12 political parties operating in Ghana, but power has been oscillating between the MPP and NDC since 1992. Even South Africa, if you ask somebody who is not familiar with the South African story, which political party exists in South Africa, you are likely to hear him say it's ANC, ANC, the party of Mandiba. But that is not true. There are over multiple parties, Democratic Alliance, economic operators, and them. So in Nigeria, there will never be a time that you will have only one party. But there will be a dominant one party or 2 party state. This has happened under PDP, the 16 years of PDP, when the slogan there was PDP and others. Now it is APC and others. As today, there are 8 political parties that have representation in the House or in the National Assembly. There are 6 political parties that have representation among the governors. So what are we talking about? That time will never come. In fact, as I'm speaking with you, maybe before the end of the year, INEC will still license about 8 new political associations, give them license to operate as political parties. We currently have 19 political parties. And the reason why these 19 political parties are still existing today is because they have at least one councillorship position or legislative assembly. So that will continue to be the situation. But I understand where it's coming from.
All right.
Because the picture now is that there is no bipartisanship that is needed in National Assembly.
All right.
There's no need to lobby. There is no need to cut the support of any, because they have 2/3 majority to do whatever they like, including passing body.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for your thoughts and sharing them so clearly with us this morning on Breakfast Central. We of course look forward to speaking with you again, and once again, compliments of the season.
Thank you, Mr. Jide Ojo. Thank you.
All right. And now we're taking the conversation back to how we began this morning, looking at the issues regarding taxation. The Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, has urged the federal government to suspend the implementation of Nigeria's newly enacted tax reform acts, citing concerns over alleged alterations between the versions passed by the National Assembly and those officially gazetted. Recall that a separate complaint by House of Representatives member Abdulsamad Dasuki alleged that what was gazetted differs from the versions lawmakers passed, prompting the House to establish a committee to probe the discrepancies.
The tax reforms, including the Nigeria Tax Bill, Nigeria Tax Administration Bill, Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill, were signed into law by President Gbolahan Olojede in June 2025, with implementation scheduled for January 2026. The association, in a statement signed by Vice President Afam Osigwe, described the discrepancies as raising grave concerns about the integrity, transparency, and credibility of Nigeria's legislative process. It said that the issues strike at the very heart of constitutional governance and called for comprehensive, open, and transparent investigation to restore public confidence. Well, joining us this morning on Breakfast Central, we have the president of the Nigerian Bar Association with us to explain the NBA's position, Mr. Afam Osigwe. A warm welcome to you, sir, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central this morning.
Thank you so very much for inviting me.
Now, what's the position of the Nigerian Bar Association on this discrepancies? The federal government have said, there's no cause for alarm, everything, all is right. But what are your findings and your investigations into this matter?
We have not made any investigation. Indeed, it is not our position to investigate the matter. The National Assembly or the House of Representatives has set up a committee to investigate the matter. And at the moment, I think that it's best for us to leave the House of Reps to do the investigation. Our statement was born out of the fact that the allegations were so weighty that it would be will not be right for us to pretend that those allegations were not made. The federal government needs to have the confidence of the public, have the moral authority to enforce the provisions of the tax laws, which are aimed at modifying and modernizing and bringing consolidating all the tax laws and bringing them into some piece of legislation and make it easy for compliance by the citizens. And to that extent, the government needs the buy-in and the confidence of the people to enforce a law which the people believe was passed, has no dent, passes every integrity test, so that the people will comply with it and reduce litigation that may result as a result of complaints that some part provisions were added, some were deleted, and then some were modified. It strikes at the perception people have about the Act. It strikes at the constitutional basis of the Act. And so to that extent, the bar feels that it may be proper to suspend the enforcement of the bill for its authenticity or otherwise to be ascertained, because it is in the government's best interest to see that these things are done, so that enforcement of the law, if found to be the authentic versions signed by the National Assembly, can be done with full confidence that the right thing is being done and that people are being asked to comply with the law validly passed by the National Assembly.
All right, let us see. And I think there's a bit of a concern as to what the actual next steps should be, or on whose table the responsibility lies to make this clarification. There have been calls for the government, because if Mr. Taiwo comes and says that these are just mere allegations and that there isn't any truth to them, there are those who say that he should be the one, or the government should be the one to come out and clearly share these two documents with us. There are others who would argue, based on the fact that he who alleges must prove, that the lawmaker who pointed this out should be able to share this. So who should we hold responsible?
I would like to believe that the lawmaker or lawmakers, because there appear to be more than one of them, while one may have made the allegation on the floor of the National Assembly, it would appear that some other lawmakers have also lent their voice to the allegation. Without wasting our time on the legal niceties about it, an allegation of such a weighty nature has been made on the floor of a chamber of the National Assembly, and the House deemed it important enough to set up a committee. And I think that we should not sweep this under the carpet. Now, coming to about who will prove, the legislative process is supposed to be a recorded one with documents bearing out what has been done or what has not been done. Now, there is what is called the Acts Authentication Act, which requires the clerk of the National Assembly to authenticate and certify that the record of proceedings from both chambers of the National Assembly and transmit them to the President. These documents will prove relevant in the course of this investigation. That's what is called the Hansard, or the record of proceedings in the House and in the Senate, or in the committee if they set a joint committee. This record is very, very important. For me, it goes beyond who asserts and who proves. It strikes at the heart of the lawmaking process in Nigeria. The clerk of the National, and what did the clerk of the National Assembly actually certify and transmit? What was actually presented to the President to sign? We shouldn't go into a courtroom trial as if we have an accused person and then we have the prosecutor. It's about public perception. It's about public trust in our public institutions. And all documents should be made available to the public and to all relevant authorities, because it is now enlightened the process to see that these laws will not suffer a legitimacy question, will not cast an aspersion on us or cast doubt about the lawmaking process in Nigeria and also before the international community. We must do everything to ensure that public confidence is placed on these laws, that will show that what was signed by the President either reflected what was signed or did not reflect what was passed or did not reflect it. How we go about it will be very interesting in the next few days, because to also have a lot to do about the public record keeping processes and the trust we place on public officials to do the right thing.
All right. What will happen if the federal government declines calls to suspend the implementation of the tax laws? Because right now, the NBA is calling for suspension.
I would not need to be a soothsayer to tell you that litigations will ensue. And if litigations ensue about the constitutionality of this act, we may have conflicting situations where some judges or some courts may injunct the enforcement of the law. And I don't think we need to find ourselves in that situation. The laws are forward-looking, they are modern in their approach, they have imposed certain tax obligations, and there should be certainty as what the law stipulates or dictates. And if the implementation of a law is bogged down in litigation, that will create a lot of confusion. And the government needs these laws to be implemented with a lot of confidence that it is in everybody's best interest to see that that we confirm the right position and that what is done, or what has been gazetted reflects that. If it does not reflect that, so that either if what the president signed is different from what is gazetted, or whatever, I don't know what may have happened. And if what was actually signed and gazetted are the same for what the National Assembly did, for all documents we place in the public domain, but we all need to have confidence in these laws for all of us to be able to beat our chest with confidence and say we have these forward-looking modern laws that are for once consolidated all taxes in Nigeria, and there will not be doubt as to what taxes will be paid, and that all incidents of multiple taxations, which this tax also aimed at eliminating, have also been eliminated. I think it is in everybody's interest that we do this. And the public records should be the primary source of the authentication of what was passed, because we have to start with what was passed, then what was transmitted, what was actually assented to, then what was gazetted, to compare all of them to see that they reflect the will of the people as expressed through the legislature.
While we're waiting for the comparison to take place so that we know what the true position is, and to see whether or not the government will hearken to the call of the NBA to delay implementation, the FRS has gone ahead to announce that our NIN, our national identification numbers, will be used as our tax identification numbers. They've also announced that the CAC registration numbers will be used as the tax identification numbers. Does this raise any legal privacy or data protection concerns?
You see, the point has to be made that even if a call is being made for the suspension of these new tax laws, which are to take effect from January 1st, tax obligations will still be there, whether because we had to the existing laws, the old laws, or the laws that will come into effect on January 1st. People will have their tax obligations. So I'll take that announcement.
Okay. Nancy Osigwe, are you still with us?
Okay, we hope to have his network back up so we can conclude this very interesting conversation. Okay, please go ahead from where you stopped. Go ahead, please. You can go on.
I don't know what you heard me last. The point I was making is that
you can go on.
Use of tax IDs, NIN for individuals, and registration number for corporate bodies, as called by FIRS, does not detract from our call for the suspension of enforcement of the new laws. Whether the new tax laws are enforced or whether the extant tax laws, the existing tax laws are being enforced, there must be a way of identifying the taxpayers. So the two calls are not inconsistent. The two statements are not inconsistent. And the government will also, we are not insisting that the government will listen to us, but we advise that the government takes steps to ensure that the truth is ascertained, to put out documents in public domain, because the government needs to put buy-in and confidence in these laws. Okay. It's not about us, it's not about any other person. It's for the good of the nation and about how the world sees us.
Now, Maziafam Osigwe, the NBA, under your leadership, has seen this vibrance and rejuvenation in fighting the cause of the common man in Nigeria. Another issue that the NBA has taken particular interest to heart is the issue of the police tint permit. The public relations officer of the Nigerian police, Mr. Benjamin Hundeyin, did say that an ex parte order is not the judgment of the court, and against the law and against the advice of the court, decided that they will go ahead to implement this tint permit order by the Nigerian police. What's the current situation with regards the NBA and the Nigerian police force on the tint permit?
In a decent society, Mr. Hundeyin would have been asked to resign from his position if the person who speaks for the police force will open his good mouth and purport to speak for a law and order organization like the police and say that an ex parte order does nothing. And it shows you how unfortunate it is that some people purport to speak for public bodies. If a court has given an injunction, whether you like it or not, you obey it or you apply to set it aside. And I'm not aware the police has done that. And Mr. Hundeyin is continuing to portray himself as more of a propagandist than a law and order person. And I think it is in the interest of the police that every person, whether police or private persons, are seen to obey decisions of course, because it also augur well for the police and society. And I've listened to him, I've read what he wrote, talking about personal interest. Yes, I have a personal interest in seeing that the police does the right thing. Yes, I have a personal interest in seeing that the police does not become a revenue-generating body. Yes, I have a personal interest in seeing that the members of the public are protected from the likely extortionate practices of the police at road checkpoints and at road blocks. If that is a private, personal interest he accuses me of, I plead guilty without any apology. But what we are saying, the court said maintain status quo. And the IGP presided over a meeting between the police and the NBA, where we all as gentlemen agreed to let that decision by the court stand to await the outcome of the case before the court. So you imagine our shock when the IGP or the police came out to say they were resuming implementation. And yet another court in Asaba has issued an order which has been served on the police. And the person who speaks for the police comes out to say that that order, in essence, is meaningless. It should worry all of us. We are only suggesting that might is right and the police is above the law. And that is not the kind of scenario we want to encourage. I will not go into the matter. All I restrict myself to talking about is the issue of the fact that there is an injunction and the police is flagrantly going ahead to violate it. And we should not allow that. I will not talk about the merit of the case because the matter is sub judice. But it pains me that the police is brazenly showing the whole world that has no regard for judiciary and for the law and for the rule of law.
But is it just the police? Would you say that this has become the norm in Nigeria today, where it seems that there is selective obedience to court judgment? We saw what happened with the PDP National Conference, for example. There was a court judgment in Abuja, there was a court judgment in Oyo State, and it seems that there were courts of coordinated jurisdiction giving different judgments. One says stop the convention, another one says go ahead. So, first of all, what role does the judiciary have to play as well? And would you say that there is also an issue with selective obedience or selective compliance with court judgments in Nigeria?
At the recent opening legal year ceremony of the Federal High Court, we lamented that there is selective obedience and enforcement of court orders in Nigeria by many public bodies, especially the police. And I also lamented that the courts are lending themselves to creating uncertainty about what the law said. Before now, it has always been my understanding that the Supreme Court has, in a long line of cases, decided that the issue about who these political parties are internal affairs of parties and are not justiciable. But the recent judgments emanating from Federal High Court and the High Court of Justice of Oyo State leaves me in doubt as to what the law says. And in any society where even a lawyer cannot speak with certainty about what the law says, and where judges are quick to give orders injuncting the holding of meetings of political parties or conventions of parties, should leave all of us worried. That is not the kind of picture we want to present to the world. I thought, like I repeat, that my understanding is that issues about who these political parties are not matters for the court to concern themselves. The internal affairs of the parties. But suddenly I realized that I don't seem to know what the law is. But yes, all of us are contributing to creating anarchy and disorderliness and uncertainty in society. And I hope that that will not in one way or the other affect people's interest in democracy and interest in voting for candidates of their choice in their participation in the elections.
All right. I guess that touches it even more to show where you stand, also where the Nigerian Bar Association stands. Just finally, in 1 minute or less, we did also see online where lawyers are speaking about January 2nd implementation of the tinted glass permit, stating that they are willing to offer their services to anyone who is being stopped, apprehended, or who is being arrested by the Nigerian police. We just want to clarify that. Is that in any way true?
Oh, yes. We have activated all our branches and the Human Rights Committee to be on standby to take on the police if anybody seeks to implement that law and seeks to use it to club movement of people on the road or to extort money from them, because it is an abuse of court process and it violates the injunction granted against police by the courts. But we believe that this will not happen. We believe that the Inspector General of Police will know that it will amount to contempt of court for him or any officers under his control to do that. But our people are placed on alert to move into action if such a situation occurs. But our hope is that we don't have to do that. That the Inspector General of Police will order his men not to do that and to await the decision of the courts in respect of this matter.
Just to clarify, seeing as you said you've activated all your branches and the members, how should citizens react if the police should stop them to, for the tint permit issue?
Well, I don't speak for the people, but all I say that any person who is being extorted should refuse to give any bribe. And then they should get the names of the officers and the location and escalate it. Use social media, reach out to the nearest NBA branches available to them, and I'll try to bring out some numbers that people can call to be able to activate them into action. But people should not take laws into their hands or fight them. But they should politely tell them that what they are doing is wrong and they violate the court order and they do not have the powers to do what they are doing in the light of court orders restraining the police from doing so at this moment.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mazia Famos,
thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us this morning.
And Merry Christmas and enjoy the holiday. If your job permits.
We have no Christmas, but thank you for your kind wishes.
Thank you.
You have a lovely.
You as well, sir.
You too.
Okay, so yes, the NBA is in, like Gen Zs will say, NBA is active.
Yes, like the Pakistani Bar Association too, and India. It's good to have a body beyond the Nigerian Labour Congress that looks after the best interest of Nigerians. And the Nigerian police is called the law enforcement agency. The reason why they're called law officers and the officers of the law. So they should be seen to uphold the law and lead by example. They already have serious reputational damage. They should be working towards repairing that damage by obeying the law. No one is above the law.
You remember the story this morning where instead of being enforcers of the law, they decided to
accessories to crime.
I mean,
and kidnapping. Quite unfortunate.
Engaging in such, going to people.
We'll go on a break, and I believe it's time for headline news. And Olive with a golden voice, will bring us the headline news. A sonorous voice.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Happy to read the news.
Power.
Welcome back to Breakfast Headlines. We begin with anti-graft fight. The immediate past Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, has been charged with money laundering. The learned SAN will face a 16-count charge. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, charged him under Section 15(2)(d), subsection 2D of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended. He's charged along with his son, Abdulaziz, with an employee of Rahamaniya Properties Limited, Hajir Bashir Asabe. In the charge, the first in 3 series, Malami was alleged to have laundered about 9 billion naira to buy choice houses in Abuja, KB, Kano, and others. The ex-Attorney General of the Federation is to account for how he came about 30 houses valued at 212.8 billion naira. They were mostly acquired during his 8 years in office. And now to tax laws. With less than 2 weeks to the implementation of the newly enacted tax laws, members of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, have staged a protest at the National Assembly complex, in Abuja, calling for the immediate annulment of the legislation. Led by the party's national youth leader, Balarabe Rufai, the protesters accused the federal government of gazetting a version of the tax law that differs from the bill passed by the National Assembly. Addressing journalists during the protest, the group described the action as a breach of legislative procedure and warned that it could undermine public trust.
The legislatures have done their job only for the executives to smuggle their whim and caprice into that law. That law of tax reform cannot hold. Yes. That law is an illegal document now. Yes. That law has been doctored, so the Tax Reform Act cannot stand. Yes. Nigerians will not abide by it because it is not what has been legislated that has been gazetted. Yes. The government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is undemocratic. The government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu doesn't have the listening ears of Nigerians. The government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very insensitive of the sufferings of Nigerians. That's why we are here today.
We wouldn't have been here if what the National Assembly passed as a tax reform, if that is what Tinubu implement or want to implement, we won't have it here. But this kangaroo legislative we have today that don't have voice, we call it rubber stamp legislative 9 assembly. 10. We are against it, and African Democratic Congress will not be a part of it.
Now, the Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, says he will not support President Bola Tinubu's re-election because of concerns about the survival of democracy in the country. In the build-up to the 2023 presidential election, Makinde was part of the G5 governors of the People's Democratic Party who refused to back Atiku Abubakar's presidential bid. The G5 governors, led by Nyesom Wike, current minister of the FCT, insisted that the party's presidential candidate should not come from the same region as the party's national chairman. Makinde said while Wike is free to back Tinubu's re-election bid, other party members also have the right to defend the PDP and resist actions that could weaken Nigeria's multi-party democracy.
We need to have a competitive political environment. We have to channel our energy towards having a competitive political environment. I was in a meeting with the president and Wike. And I'm saying this, in an open chat. The president's chief of staff was also in that meeting, and a few others. And Wike said to the president that, well, sir, I will hold PDP for you, against 2027. I was in shock. So we got up, we got to the veranda. I said, Wike, did we agree to this? I don't like talking about people, and I will not talk about people or talk about events. But I'll talk about the real issue. The real issue is that Wike would like to support the president for 2027. That's fine. It is within his right to do that. But also some of us that want to, ensure that democracy survives in Nigeria. We don't drift into a one-party state, and we want to ensure that PDP survives. It should also allow us to do our own thing. That is just the issue between me and Wike. And I confided in a mutual friend of us after that meeting. And I kept thinking, okay, the president did not ask him, do this for me. He was the one that volunteered that I will do that. So when I was telling our mutual friend, I said, look, maybe he was talking about an errand that the president never sent him. So let's watch, let's engage him. Let's see if he will back off. But he never did. So after he didn't back off, I said, well, now it's time to confront him. Because I told him from that day that I will never be a part of this.
Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has rejected a request to recognize a factional National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, citing unresolved court cases. INEC says it cannot recognize the PDP National Working Committee led by Kabiru Turaki due to conflicting court judgments over the party's leadership crisis. The faction backed by the Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, and Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, held a national convention in Ibadan in November where new party officers were elected. However, with court cases still pending, INEC says it will not recognize the faction's leadership for now. In the meantime, the Tanimu Turaki-led faction of the People's Democratic Party has accused the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, of bias in the COP crisis rocking the party. Reacting to a letter from the party explaining why it would not recognize the leadership of the faction, National Publicity Secretary Inni Ememobong accused the electoral umpire of working closely with those who want to kill the party. Ememobong alleged that the commission failed to or refused to file documents that were in their possession and within their knowledge, obviously to aid those who are bent on killing the PDP and truncating democracy. Now we head outside Nigeria, where Libya's Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Deiba said the chief of staff of the country's army, Mohammed al-Haddad, and other military officials were killed in an airplane accident in Turkey on Tuesday after visiting Ankara. Turkish Interior Minister Ali Yerikaya said his country's gendarmerie has found the wreckage of the plane, which crashed shortly after taking off from Ankara. Haddad had been the army's chief of general staff since August 2020 and was appointed by the then Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj. Deiba said other senior military officials and a photographer were also on board the plane. He described their deaths as a tragic loss. And that's all we have at this hour on Breakfast Headlines. We will now continue Breakfast Central as we head to some sports and the newspaper reviews. Please stay with us.
Feels good to be back here on Breakfast Central. Thanks for staying with us. Straight to the front pages of the newspapers. That's where we're going to. We do have our public affairs analyst in-house who joins us this morning on a Wednesday. Mr. Olusegun Okwade joins us here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning,
I was trying to look at your hat again.
There's no Infinity logo, don't worry.
Let me check. No, you know, there's only a way you can. His angles are covered. It doesn't have a 360 view. Okay. So let me check on this side for you. Okay. It's fine.
And compliment of the season to
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Let's go straight into it without wasting so much time, because we do have some of our correspondents who will be joining us in between the conversations. First off is the Guardian newspaper. I want us to go to the Guardian first for very good reasons. Let's start off with the Guardian newspapers. Calls for suspension of tax reform laws intensify. I'm going to go straight to you because, I mean, you are.
As a money man, finance,
you're a money man, so you understand what's really going on. Let's go there so we can take all the stories as soon as we can. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, my position on this is it's worrisome that the day minute that we want to initiate the new tax act is when we are calling there are several issues warranting it. I said on a sister station that this act was actually signed into law June 25th, 2025. We have like 6 months. A lot of organizations have actually, worked with the gazetted copy to implement a lot of things in readiness for next year. And here we are. People are saying that will not happen.
But has the gazetted copy been shared?
It's been shared. And that's why the question I first raised is that this thing that we are trying for discourse in the public, what suddenly happened between the legislative arm and the executive, that you can't call yourself to order? Are we working on cross purposes, not working towards the same aim of seeing how to strengthen and make things work the way it should be? If there are obvious errors as claimed or things that are different from what there are, I believe there are better forums at which they can both discuss, meet with one another, and straighten things out, knowing fully well that whether you want to attack the executive or you are actually after the legislative, both of you are working towards one aim of improving and developing our economy. But here we are at this point in time seeing confusion. If we don't start at that point in time, January 1st, well, I just looked at several organizations that have invested so much. Don't forget that part of what this gave back to was e-invoicing for some certain set of people. A lot of massive investment have gone into it. A lot of people have started deploying that to see how they can make things work. But I feel whatever the issue is, both the executive and the legislative can come to a round table, check both parties, because I heard that the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Fiscal Policy coming to say the gazetted copy that they are actually working on is fake, and the other people are coming out. So can we rather discussing this thing on media, come to a room dialogue and see what the problem is and find the last things.
We cannot hide it about people's money.
Talking about people's lives. So
that's what I'm saying. But the whole thing started with them, not even with the people. It started with them. The tax reform actually brought those things up, took it to the legislative house, they vetted it, sent it back to the executive. If there are discrepancies, there is nothing you and I are going to do. No. There will still be the same set of people that will work on this to fine-tune how the final result will be.
No, because I beg to differ. I beg to differ in the sense that, one, I mean, this is tax. These are new. These are reforms.
I had money,
and somebody says, "Oh, wait, what we all both agreed
is not
what
we're getting. What I seeing.
So therefore, and under the Nigerian law, is it section 43 or 430? We know that is gross misconduct.
It's forgery.
It's forgery, and somebody and we Nigerians are applauding such action.
Nobody is discrediting that.
Yes, what I'm saying is, I mean, if you are saying they should handle it back door, we don't agree.
We are not saying see, they have a way of communicating between one another without coming to us in the public. If indeed this has happened, you have raised the allegation. We want those areas where you have those differential in the agreement to say this and this and this and this. Call for explanation. This that they are bringing to the media for media trial and discussion, as far as I'm concerned, by the time they will settle it and both parties agree to it, is the document that they give to us that we're still going to work with. It's not that you and I are going to have it. So I expect that both of them,
the House of Representatives, as we speak, has gone into investigation. They set up a committee to look to and
I don't think those people, they are still working on it.
They're still working on it.
Yeah, so I feel until we have, because those investigations will now come out with a result. What I'm saying is that rather than coming on media trial to now make people look apprehensive, a lot of people are already looking at, if this thing does not work, that is the normal thing average government will do in Nigeria, come up with policy, withdraw, which we've known this administration, they will come up with something and overnight they will withdraw it. As if there is not, we don't have that thought through before we come out with some of these things. I feel both arms need to look for a common ground. Let the investigation come out. If they have actually done what is wrong, it's part of what we keep saying. Let there be punishment for some of the things that have actually, who are the people who alter those things? What are we going to do to them? Because the long discussion is that if it's established there are discrepancies, will there be consequences for those that are actually carrying out some of those things? Benga, I'm sure you know what the answer looks like.
Okay, still on the front page of The Guardian. Quick one here. Federal government orders road contractors to remain on site during Yuletide. I like this. If journalists are walking, everybody must walk.
Even Mr. Chesson should walk.
Mr. Chesson should walk.
Mr. Chesson is walking now.
Yes.
We are together now. Are we not together?
Tomorrow, are you going to work?
If there is need.
Okay.
If the duty calls, I will definitely.
What do you make of this? We see a lot of construction going on, especially this period. Is it that the government lost their calendar and they didn't know what time of the month it was to award contracts or to have active construction sites when they know that there will be a high volume of traffic, people plying certain roads, and it's led to a lot of discomfort for Nigerians?
Sincerely speaking, this action on the part of the government seems insensitive to me. If you feel you want to impress the people, you can't create hardship. We all understand the fact that just look at this Lagos-Ibadan Expressway when they were actually constructing it. I'm sure you may not have business on that road. It was chaotic. Even now that just small section of the road, they are working, I think, on the thing they're using, joining the bridges together. You can see the impact of traffic on what people are actually facing. I feel asking them to come work during is insensitive of the people that actually will be traveling.
They think we should be impressed.
Who are they impressing? Knowing fully well that some of this work will still be carried out and nobody will vet. What is the longevity? What is the span that we are going to enjoy this work?
Plan accordingly.
So you can just do what is expected. This is just a practical way to say that they failed to plan and now they are planning towards failure. Because the same set of people you feel you want to impress, from what my brother said, will be the one to come after you when people are already spending hours. I saw a video that went viral, Lokoja, Abuja Road, where people are spending 7-8 hours. Same thing, I think, at
Lagos, yes.
Lagos, Ondo, or Benin. There are viral videos stating that people are spending hours. And we are speaking of insecurity. So you are on a standstill for hours. I can imagine the fear that will be beaten in your chest to I hope somebody will not just attack us.
Insecurity,
Talking about, doing the right thing, let's look at the Super Eagles yesterday. They did the right thing yesterday. Our man Udoka Njoku is live
in the spiritual and cultural capital of Morocco.
Absolutely.
The city of Fez.
Udoka,
what's going on? What's happening, bro?
Is this Morocco or America? Did they move AFCON to World Cup? Because I'm not really understanding what's going on
here. The winter is wintering.
I just can't wait to hear your accent.
Oh, I'm saying, God. These are the kind of people I work with, Udoka. Please manage them. Udoka, let's be professionals. Let's leave Oliver Bingham. Thank you so much for joining us, Udoka. Please tell us what yesterday's game was like, what it looked like, and the victory eventually.
Thank you very much, guys, for having me. It's very, very cold here in Morocco. The weather today is about 7 degrees, and it is raining now. It is raining, not so serious, but it is really, really cold here in Morocco. But yesterday's game for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, good victory for them, but not a convincing one. Even the players could feel it, but it wasn't convincing enough for them and the fans as well, who expressed a bit of disappointment with how they performed against Tanzania. In all honesty, Tanzania played better football, especially in the second half of that game. And for the coach, Eric Shell, he keeps on saying that they have to take the game one step at a time for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Next game is against Tunisia. That will be on Saturday. So the team, they have about 3 days to prepare their minds, body, and soul ahead of that game. But of course, for Victor Osimhen, he also did score a goal, but it was ruled out for offside, courtesy of the video assistant referee. But all in all, it was 3 points necessary, 3 points to the bag for Nigeria. But again, our next opponent, Tunisia, they tore apart the
Ugandans, the Cranes of Uganda.
Uganda, 3-0. Cranes of Uganda, they broke their cranes yesterday, 3-0. So how would that suffice for Nigeria on Saturday? To be a tough one. And even the fans are not so confident, because some of the fans are saying that, look, a draw would be better against Tunisia, not to lose against Tunisia. So it means that the Super Eagles have still not instilled a bit of confidence or belief in the fans to trust them to go all the way. But yes, 3 points to the bag, we move forward.
What did the coach, Eric Chell, say at the post-match conference about the result? And what's the team spirit like in general? And I'm sure you've spoken to a few of the players.
Yeah, well, they said they take one step at a time. And for Eric Chell, he also said he will go back to the drawing board and see the things that he did wrong to correct those wrongs in the next game. We just might be seeing a change in formation and starting lineup against Tunisia. But you never can tell. Eric Shell doesn't like to tell us what kind of tactics he will bring out for his next game. And for the players as well, they promise to do better in the next game. And a lot of people are saying that the Super Eagles don't ever start a competition well. The last time they played out in the Nations Cup, where they made it to the final, they played as a 1-0 draw in their first game. So let's see how things turn out for the Super Eagles of Nigeria against Tunisia, because this tournament, the fans are looking forward to them, hoping that they can win this one, because they have to appease or make it more like an apology to the fans for not qualifying for the FIFA 26 World Cup.
Right.
But the coach is optimistic. He's looking forward to the next game.
All right, we're looking forward to the next game. Just to clarify, I know you said that Tanzania played a very good game. Thankfully, we still won. Does that mean that Nigeria did not play a good game?
Yeah. To be honest, going by the standards of the players that we have in the Super Eagles, a couple of the players were still lackadaisical in their approach to the game. You would point out a few players, the likes of Ademola Lookman, who scored the second goal about 5 minutes after Tanzania equalized. Right. Victor Osimhen also gave a good account of himself. His goal was ruled out for offside. We also saw Wilfred in the middle of the pack, who was commanding, because he is now the new Super Eagles captain. But of course, we could tell a bit of the culprits that we have in the Super Eagles team, the likes of Zaidu Sanusi, whose performance yesterday was below par. A couple of other players were below par. So Akko Adams came in, and rather he started the game, but it wasn't so great. His pairing with Victor Osimhen wasn't so great up front until Moses Simon came in the second half. We could see a bit of life from Nigeria Then our defensive lineup as well, concentration, more than 100% concentration needs to be given in a game because they lost concentration, and that was why Tanzania could take it through the back and get that goal past Stanley Nwabali into the net. So a lot of things need to change going forward.
Thank you very much, Udoka and Joku in the City of Fairs. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And on the positive note too, I can add that it was good that our players were measured in their celebration, unlike Zambian Patson Daka, who attempted to do a backflip and almost killing himself in the act, trying to break his neck. So let's be cautious, especially this Yuletide season, and celebrate with caution. All the best, Doka. All the best.
Just, as you leave, I just wanted to confirm. I've seen a number of celebrities. I've seen a number of celebrities in Morocco for to witness AFCON. Have you by any chance seen anyone? Is Timaya there?
I've not seen any one of them. We've been stuck up in the media zone, but I'm sure if I catch up with any one of them, I would definitely.
For now, you're the only celebrity.
Just to clarify, the reason I asked if Timaya, the reason I asked if Timaya is there is because the reason I asked if Timaya is there is because he sang "It's so cold outside" and it's really very cold.
Oh my. Olive, go home. I grant you Christmas leave.
Take care of yourself, Udoka.
Olive, you need to go home.
Take care, Udoka. Bye-bye.
Let's get back to the show. We'll see you.
Yes. We miss you.
Mr. Akwade, please, back to the Guardian. Why I cope with these two, I don't know how I do it.
Mr. Akwade is an avid golfer, by the way, and he's also interested in footballing matters. Okay. But he's very emotionally connected to the Super Eagles, so he doesn't watch their games because of high blood pressure issues.
We're one family. I mean, we have the like of Priscilla Ojo Mbakala, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and Juma Jukes. You know, that have united both countries. Tanzania, Nigeria. We are one family. You know, I wanted to sing one of Juma Jukes' songs.
Are you hopeful that we will win the Nations Cup as a compensation to not qualify for the World Cup?
Yeah, maybe if I consolidate the two together, I'm very hopeful of the Super Eagles putting in their best. We always, start the game in a very interesting manner. So we expect that they will put themselves together and build, those stuff. People like us hardly want to watch their game because you need to manage yourself. You won't go and fall off the chair, off the seats when they start playing the game. But I wish them the very best. We are very hopeful that they can make this to be a compensation for them losing out of the World Cup by coming back with the Nations Cup. In fact, it's more important than World Cup to me.
Yeah, I think we'll win it. Yeah, mark my words, Olive and Joe, we'll win it. Now, back to
the Guardian, please. The front page of the Guardian. Makinde opposition cites Wike factor, say authoritarian drift threatens 2027 polls. I'm sure you saw Makinde's press media parley yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the big organs. Those things I said are for the big boys to actually have engagement with the governor of Oyo State. Well, you see, it's the time of politics, and we'll see more of this kind of discussion in the public space. I saw when the governor was actually saying when he made his first $1 million, the other party was still
a local government, just freshly out of law school,
and looking out to be a local government chairman. So you will see, be rest assured that be rest assured that the other party will not just take it lightly. He must definitely eat back.
And typical.
We are ready for that in 2026. It's part of the things we'll be saying. A lot of them will engage journalists to come and put their position open to consolidate themselves for 2027. So, but we see how it plays out. I think it's a season thing for we the citizen to see how those things play out. But what we keep asking for is that as you unravel, as you lick each other's whatever out, give us good governance. We don't want that year to be a period where it will be ill fighting and there will be lack of governance among the people.
It shouldn't just be content for blogs and discussions.
No, there should be certain impact on the part of the citizens
of governance.
So, but we expect such to happen. It's the major thing that we'll see in 2026, where different space will come out to put their position down. More so, looking at the part at which they can support the center, possibly for re-election.
Aisha warns Tinubu against Buhari's mistake of retaining underperformers. I mean, if you served under the Buhari administration, he has a laissez-faire approach to management. He appoints you, then it goes to sleep, and believes you will do the best. You had ministers that were in his cabinet for 6-7 years, and there were hardly any cabinet reshuffles. And the former First Lady is warning President Tinubu to not make that mistake. But looking at the President's antecedents from his administration of Lagos State and to the minor cabinet shuffle we've seen with the Defense Ministry, do you think he will toe this line? Are we expecting a cabinet reshuffle now that we've gone halfway through this first term of his administration?
I don't see.
Or what kind of style of leadership?
I don't see any cabinet reshufflement. The one you are referring to for Ministry of Defense is not.
It was American induced.
Yeah, it was not even. The man voluntarily resigned based on the
health grounds.
And that created the room. So it's not that. This is where I will call out there's a particular arm set up by Mr. President under the leadership of Adiza, the former MPA. This thing coordinating the performance of all the ministers and those head of parastatals. I stand to be correct.
So they have KPIs, yeah.
They have KPIs, but up till now, I don't think I've seen any to justify what individuals are actually doing. And when you don't see the KPI, on what premise are you going to have reshufflement or to have understanding of what is going on? So for me, I don't see.
And it's not by media palette.
No, it's not by media, but that must actually be justified by facts that you have on the table of why some want to. A lot of people are yearning for several ministers to actually be replaced, and it's in the public domain. A lot of people are asking. The current Minister of Power seems to be concentrating more on his ambition, becoming governor.
And the power is suffering now.
And the power sector is really not getting what it is. That is enough
opposed to about the number of trumpets that one wants to buy.
And
you even think it's rapture. What are you doing with 1,000 trumpets? Are you a rapturist?
I don't even understand.
No, we need to sound the bell as they blow the trumpet. The noise of the name will definitely echo in Oyo State. That's the way a lot of us have asked the question, if somebody is having such political ambition, what we normally see is that voluntarily you ease yourself out of the appointment.
So many issues.
So we have a lot of that even people are saying, but we ask ourselves, the people that are saddled with the responsibility, who coordinates the KPI and advise Mr. President, what are they submitting? So if they are saying that they are performing, you can have your own KPI and as citizen, and those that have given them the commitment have their own KPI. So they might be working and playing to gallery of what they expected, what is expected of any one of them. So I don't see anything called cabinet reshufflement anytime soon, because we expect that maybe after the second, we've seen the end of second year, we should have the performance appraisal of some of these ministers and let people appreciate. I think the only person that people are talking about is the Minister of Interior, who they feel is performing, Jide Ojo, and maybe our own friend Wike in FCT,
and also
the Minister of Works,
Mr. Dave Umahi. But some have termed him Minister of Superhighway of Coastal Roads, that he has abandoned other roads.
Well, for me, I don't have his rating except for Coastal Road that he has done. Look at every other road.
47 kilometers.
So look at even Lagos Ibadan Expressway. I found that road as much as I can. There is no lightning. The last time I said it on air, that I left Ibadan 7 p.m. and it was like a suicide mission. Everywhere was dark. The only thing you could, how can you have a major highway like that without illuminating the area with street light? And you awarded the contract to the vendor, and street light was not part of it. How on earth do we do that? In 2025, how else do we do that? As far as I'm concerned, I'm not rating him as a performer until when we have some of those. When you do some of those things, you must have it incomplete.
There's somebody on the front page. You might want to check if he's a performer too. The front page of the Guardian. He's the I know
Minister of Blue Economy.
Minister of Blue Economy.
Are you sure it's blue or red economy?
Blue. I don't know. He's talking about blue representing the colors of the marine kingdom.
But there's a header there. Investor fatigue. $14 billion infrastructure gap still stall deep sea ports renewal plan. Since the blue economy was carved out as a ministry, Nigerians, I did see this article on, is it Nairametrics or so, or Business Day? Nigerians are saying there's nothing there.
And there's so much to
it seems more of a compensation.
The entire southern coast of Nigeria is the Atlantic Ocean.
You know, when this ministry was actually carved out, a lot of expectation. I think rather than coming with this headline, the minister, who happens to be a former governor of Osun State, should roll out some of the achievements since this ministry have actually been carved out, and not to come out with the small. Maybe we are talking about some ministries now that we can see few things that they are doing. We need the scorecard to say the last 2 years, even though we have, because even the ministries that are performing will still tell you that they have 1 or 2 challenges. They would have performed much more than what we're saying. Let them roll out some of the achievements that they've had. We don't want to hear about fatigue, about infrastructure. Who are going to close the infrastructure gap? If you create the enabling environment, it's a blue economy, maritime, where a lot of investment are actually going in through with the seas that we have. So I'm sure there is a disconnect. We don't want to hear about the failure after 2 years. We want to see some of the scorecard with some of the allocations being given to that ministry in the last 2 years. Then we can take it up from there to say, okay, the infrastructure gap is actually, how much of the gap, what was the gap as at the time when you started the ministry? Where are we? What have actually been closed? Then we can be, those are the performance indices that you use in measuring things. We must know where we are starting from, where we are, what we've been able to close. Then we can applaud that things are actually moving on, not coming with rhetorics of excuses that the people won't want to hear.
Deep. This Nigeria is next. Let's go to this Nigeria. Front page of this Nigeria. Very interesting stories, but the one that would also interest you is NIN CAC numbers to become tax IDs from 2026, says FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service.
And then there's the PDP crisis. INEC rejects Turaki-led ESCO over pending court matters. Secretary Oriaria Anthony says agency won't act on demands to upload on website list of officers purportedly elected at Ibadan Convention.
Since when did INEC, since when did the courts have a say on political matters?
Well, you know, we discussed this thing that I think a few weeks or a few months back,
I
when
remember.
the Abuja crisis, everybody going to court to have it. It's the beginning of things, and that we'll see towards 2027. But I feel they should come together. It's just pretty difficult for politicians to come on a common ground on issues like this, because it's just a win for the ruling party when the opposition are not getting themselves together. So if they can look for a common ground amidst themselves to see how to strengthen things, I think they can come out, more formidable. I remembered a few weeks when we discussed that issue of the litigation from Ibadan to Abuja.
Yes.
One of the elders of PDP, Chief Bode John, came out to say they are coming stronger. My question now is that with this that we are reading again, is it part of the formidable team that we are putting together to challenge the party at the center? I think we can do much more better as opposition by looking how we can strengthen things and make things happen.
Yeah.
All right. Let's now still look on the front page of this Nigeria. Senate passes 58.47 trillion 2026 budget for second reading, adjourned till January 2027.
Chop.
Now,
what?
If you compare that to the big story on the Punch, Punch big story, please, let's quickly connect to the Punch. It says, budget crisis, National Assembly extends 2025 fiscal year to March. So from January of 2024 to March of 2020. Sorry, January of 2025 to March of 2026.
Yeah.
Senate reps passed revised 91.8 trillion 2024-2025 budget, 2026 appropriation bill passes second reading. So this carryover, I think that parents should be kinder to their children when they have carryovers. If a whole government can be having carryover year in, year out, with the budget.
You see, Olive, I think, seriously speaking, our government needs to take this with all seriousness. For those in the financial arms, I'm sure everybody knows that budget is actually for a year. And when you start hearing about 2024 operating in 2025 to be taken to 2026, you ask which budget are we actually working on? What is the comparison? Because what you do year in, year out is that as at the end of 2024, you are supposed to have your actual compared to say, okay, this is the performance in preparation for 2025. As at the end of 2025, you should be able to draw your performance, draw it and say, okay, these are areas of gap, these are where we need to improve on. But when you are carrying 2024 to 2025 to 2026, so which are you going to justify your performance? Where are you going to put your actual? Is going to be against 2024 or 2025 or the 2026 that you're actually extending to? So it's quite chaotic. And a lot of financial analysts have asked the question, how are we managing it? But it has passed the second reading. With the way it's going, I'm sure we won't have any challenge. The 58.74 stuff might be what will be finally approved and sent to President for assent. But we may not be having the budget being read January 1st as we used to have it. Maybe we'll be having that April 1st, since we now have an extension of the fiscal pulse year till March 2026. But I think I will give kudos to the late Muhammadu Buhari. He was able to adjust that, because before he came in, it was a bottleneck where we hardly have budget at the beginning of the year. He streamlined it, and during his administration, come first of every year, you always have the budget. Whether the budget is actually performing to expectation, at least we know that we are following the fiscal responsibility that stipulate that should actually be done. I feel the administration can do better, knowing fully well that those are the aim of affairs, are people that plays with figure. And we should not start rewriting the story for the younger generation, thinking that budget can be extended for 2-3 years, as against what we all learned while we are actually having our lectures on budgeting.
Okay, unfortunately, I think we've come to the end of today's show. Let me see if I can quickly squeeze in another front page. Okay, front page of the Punch still. Federal government orders take down of terrorist social media accounts. Very sad one here. National Open University student collapses and dies during tests. Let's quickly head to YouTube. Annie Chinedu Brown, I saw your earlier comment. Thank you so much. Very, very insightful. Thank you. And then we also have, he says, when I saw Imo State. Okay,
That's
thank you.
Imo State.
So this is feedback for us. Thank you very much, Annie Chinedu Brown. And thank you, Chuku Ochiama, for your contribution, as well as Marvelous Sonny. Marvelous Sonny says, Merry Christmas to us all. Thank you so much. We will not be able to take any more ones because we've come to the end of the show. It's our last show before Christmas of 2025. And we hope that you're, crossing the T's, dotting your I's, gathering your friends and your family. And I know it's not the most Christmassy Christmas we've had, but that you can make the best of the season. And for those who are celebrating, for us who are celebrating, Jesus will always remain the reason for the season. So Merry Christmas, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Breakfast Central. Thank you, Mr. Okwade, for joining us.
Thank you for having me at least a day to the Christmas. I'm still with you.
Merry Christmas. Benga will give you your Christmas gift right after the show.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah. See you guys tomorrow.
And Merry Christmas in particular to Benga Borowa.
That's so kind of you. Thank you
so much. You collect your own tomorrow. Bye.